So there are two ways to read a book series. You could either binge read it all at once when all the books are out, or you can read the books as they are released, which can range from 1 to 3 years, or in worst cases, 10 to 20 years. The amount of appreciation I have for authors who include recaps for the previous book and their sequels, they are the real MVPs. I feel like it's something people really sleep on, and I think it's one of the nicest and most convenient things to come in future books. I am seeing it more and more, and please keep them coming. Us readers are literally on our knees begging. There is a ton of content to digest, and as a person with only a decent memory, it's hard to remember everything that happens. Eventually, it starts to bleed together and you forget the difference between Kelhus and Kelsier, or Jorg, or Jaquin, or Jellin, or Jalenhorn. Hell, even the similar names in Elden Ring had me looking twice. Rather than reading the 500 to 1,000 page book, some kind of summary would be preferable. And sure, you can find some online, but oftentimes they don't exist. I really started thinking about this when I was making my way through the Song of Shattered Sands series. When you reach book 3, you get a recap for each book before it. So by book 6, there's a recap for every book. What a freaking champ, and that story is complex as hell. They are simple and sweet, just a few paragraphs, but it makes the world of difference and gets me ready and excited to continue the story. The amount of series I have abandoned, even if I enjoyed book 1, is far too many to count, because I would need to reread, and sometimes you just don't have time for that. I'm a slow reader, so my limited book choices per month have to be very precisely made. I have a really good example of this. Locklands, which just came out. It's the finale to a series I love. I started reading it and was instantly hit with who are these people, and my enjoyment for it just dropped. Like, if I continue, I am going to end up giving this a lower rating than I want to because I can't find my way through the damn fog. So I put it down. My brain was like, we're not processing information right now. We are shut down for the day. Well, shit. And then what really solidified this video discussion was when I read The Hunger of the Gods, book 2 in John Gwynn's new Norse-inspired fantasy. It had been over a year since I read its predecessor, so naturally, being how I can so easily forget a character's name mid-book while I'm currently reading it, I was going to have forgotten a lot of detail and even possibly big important plot points. Understandable for readers who chug a lot of books in a year. You know, the memory capacity is going to be full. Okay, so I know what I'm about to say is an author's worst nightmare, and I'll never understand it either. But it could also open it up to the weirdos, I'm joking, to the perfectly civilized people who start with book 2. This happens more often than you think. I'm just saying it could allow more people to stumble upon a book mid-series and read it and enjoy it if they had a slight inclination of events that happened previously, and maybe are too lazy to read book 1. More sales, more hopefully positive reviews because they had that recap. And then there is another species of that nature. I've actually seen reviews that start with, I had no idea this was book 3. Well, if they couldn't see the number on the spine, maybe that little section before chapter 1 begins, blatantly starting with, here's what happened previously, will guide them in the right direction. Let's be open-minded here. So what makes a good recap? How detailed does it need to be? Well, let me tell you the power of a good previously on Dragon Ball Z. Honestly, simple keywords trigger my memory. Give me a name of a character, give me their story arc, and where they ended up at the end of the book, and I am all set. I don't think magic systems need to be re-explained. Locations don't need to be described again. My main concern is characters. Who are they and where are they? Because I can figure out everything else on my own. Some authors have their own unique spin on recaps. I know Mark Lawrence makes his a little more humorous. Josiah Bancroft has a recap for his finale, The Fall of Babel, which was a 2-year wait, so that recap was very much needed. His read almost like a news article, which fit the story's whole vibe and felt so seamless. And it just makes for absolutely brilliant immersion. I think the magic of book summaries is really the fact that it requires a little creativity and a little skill. As someone who has a YouTube channel dedicated to describe and explain the plot of books to a certain extent on a regular basis, it's hard, and I kind of suck at it. So of course it's easier said than done, but the effort overall I think is worth it if it helps the reader plop right back into the story. I've actually found myself not as excited about upcoming sequels because I know that I've forgotten a lot. So for example, Son of the Storm. I loved this book, and it's one of the most complex books out there for sure, but my memory for certain characters is beginning to be a slippery slope. And a little recap could cure that. I'm crossing my fingers. And I'm sure sometimes sometimes it can be a really complicated issue, like this book can't have a recap because X reason. Yeah, sure, but I just personally really like them. Maybe you don't, and that's fine too. Your opinion is totally valid. I have talked about the subject in other videos before, but it felt good to get it all out in a video of its own. I think my only definitive conclusion for this video is hopefully we can see this as a regular feature in books. Obviously in the genre of fantasy and sci-fi where log series are common, and it would be helpful to get a little reminder as to what happened before. I think they go above and beyond to a deeper level. You see it in TV shows, you see it in movies. Now, why can't we see it more in books? Thank you everyone for just like letting me ramble. I just wanted to take a break from reviewing books and talking about future books and talk about something I'm sure we've all experienced and thought about. So if you like what I do here with the occasional ranty topic, let me know, and definitely let me know your thoughts on book recaps and how they should be handled if an author decides to do one. Thanks for being here. Subscribe if you want to, and until we meet again, happy reading.